On the day her son died, Lunar was shopping with her pet. I walked past her with anger, but she didn't know it. I didn't know that the child was pushed into the morgue that day. Half a month later, she called, asked me, "Tom, did you take your children on a trip? When will you come back?" I whispered through the speaker, "Lunar, we can't go back." On the day my son was pushed into the operating room, I called her numerous times, but no one answered the phone. But luckily, everything went smoothly. He opened his eyes and looked around. Then, he tugged on my sleeve. I put my ear to him and asked him in a low voice, "What's wrong? Are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere? Can Dad call the doctor?" He shook his head and asked me, "Dad, where is Mom?" I stiffened, held him in my arms, and whispered, "Mom should be busy. Dad should call her." Seeing him nod, I picked up my phone and went out, beating again and again. The cold female voice came again. I leaned against the wall, feeling a slight pain in my heart. At that time, Lunar said that I would be punished in the future, but I never thought that retribution would come to my children. Can't get through to her phone. I couldn't bear to let my son down, so I told the nurse station and then I went to buy him food. Before, he told me that he wanted to eat small wontons. After queuing for 2 hours, I finally arrived. Through the crowd, I saw Lunar. Next to her, stood her white moonlight, David, who had been dead for many years. I stared at the two of them in a daze, and by the time I came to my senses, they were gone. I don't know if she really didn't see me or if Lunar was pretending not to see me. Not too much entanglement. After buying the food, I returned to the hospital. I'm afraid my son will be impatient. When I returned, there was no one in the hospital bed. The nurse told me that he was in shock and was sent to emergency room. I hurried over and when I saw the words, "operation," my heart seemed to be grasped by a big hand, and I couldn't breathe at all. I prayed over and over again. Hopefully my son will come out of the operating room safe and sound. But the doctor gave me the final blow. He said, "I'm sorry, we have tried our best." The moment the baby was pushed out, I knelt on the ground and begged the doctor to save my baby. But they are not gods and cannot save the children who have left. I hugged my son, held his hand, and felt his warmth dissipate little by little. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I dialed Lunar's phone again, but she still didn't answer. I don't know what she is busy with. I also went to look for her at home and at work. I hope she can see her son for the last time. After all, he is also Lunar's son. But the assistant said to me, "Lunar didn't come to the company today. Sir, would you like to call her number again?" I looked at her office door and stepped forward to open it. There was no one inside. I laughed when I looked at it. If Lunar doesn't love me, how can she love me and her children? Tears fell from my eyes and I told the assistant on the side, "Don't tell Lunar that I was here." Late at night, the road was filled with vehicles and people. But here, there is no longer my son. During the few days I was dealing with Adam's funeral, Lunar never came home, and I never called her again. I walked back with Adam's ashes in my arms, feeling as if my heart had been severely ripped out. It seemed that he was still saying in my ear, "Dad, would you like to go to Hawaii? Call Mom and come with us. Dad, can you go to the amusement park on the weekend? Dad, I want to go to Nanchang, okay?" Mom said she would take me there. His childish voice echoed in my ears as usual, but when I came to my senses, I was pushed away by someone. "You are crazy, not my Adam." My Adam is now in my arms, reduced to ashes. My face was wet with tears, and I could no longer feel the fatigue in my body. The 10-kilometer journey felt so long to me. It's like a lifetime has passed. Back in the room, I placed Adam's ashes on the table, lying on the bed, letting the tears keep flowing. In fact, when I saw David, I felt lucky for a moment. Fortunately he didn't die. I thought Lunar's curse on me would never happen, but my son still died. I closed my eyes and heard what Lunar said to me. That was before we got married. I used various means to force David to leave. When he left, I gave him 10 million. I also bought him a ticket and took him to the airport in person. That flight crashed. The machine was destroyed and no one survived. That day, I wished I could die for him, but I can't do it. It was also that day that Lunar strangled my neck and asked me, "Tom, why wasn't you the one who died? Why?" Feeling suffocated, I closed my eyes and said to her calmly, "Lunar, then strangle me to death." The voice was calm and without any fluctuation. I really wanted to pay for him with my life, but she didn't really strangle me. She said, "Tom, if you are so cruel, you will be punished sooner or later." But I had to do it. If I didn't do that, all my mother's hard work would be taken away by my so-called father and stepmother. So I chose Lunar's family as my backer. I tried every means to please Lunar's grandfather. As I wished, I married Lunar. When she was drunk, she mistook me for David and had sex with me. Unexpectedly, she was pregnant. The child has congenital heart disease. In life, I dare not slack off at all. Don't dare to indulge him. Don't dare to let him do anything dangerous. I didn't even dare to let him cry. But after kindergarten that day, he said to me, "Dad, it hurts here." He covered his heart and his pale face made me suffocate. I went to the hospital and performed a series of rescue operations, but fortunately I was out of danger. But I didn't expect that it was heart failure. But I should be the one who deserves retribution. It shouldn't be my son. My phone buzzed and I received a few photos. It was Lunar sitting on David's lap. Lunar's eyes were full of smiles, as if everything had returned to 10 years ago. In the past 10 years, I have been very considerate to Lunar. Rack your brains to be a good husband. It was time for the stone to be warmed, but she was indifferent. It's better now, but everything is back to where it started. But Lunar didn't know that when she was 10 years old, it was me who saved her, not David. Late at night, I received an email. It's an email to attend a banquet. Signed David. I didn't want to go, but I'm still curious about David's intention in sending me this email. So I went anyway. The person on the stage, wearing a new suit, stood next to my so-called wife. She looked through the crowd at me. I smiled at her, but she was startled when she saw me like this. At this moment, I wanted to step forward and overturn the table in front of them. Ask Lunar why she doesn't answer my call, but I never did. I exited the door and dug my phone out of my bag. Lunar answered. There was endless silence on the other end. It took about a minute before she asked, "Is there anything wrong with Tom? If nothing happens, just hang up." The tone was extremely indifferent. It was as if she didn't have any extra emotion for me. I was on the other end of the phone, looking at her from afar. When he looked at her and wanted to cut off the phone, he asked in a low voice, "Lunar, do you still hate me?" Through the crowd, I seemed to be able to see her frowning impatiently, looking for a suitable and perfunctory word. 3 seconds later, she said, "It's all in the past. Don't mention the past." But how could we not mention it? That curse seemed to have taken root in my heart. Buds have sprouted and will become towering trees. Lunar, if I had saved you that year, would you still treat me like this? Before I could finish my words, she interrupted impatiently. "No one can be you, Tom. How could you, a cold-blooded person like you, save someone who has no use value to you?" Before I could speak again, she cut off the phone. During these years of marriage, I have asked her, consciously or unconsciously. She refused to believe it. But that year I risked my life to fish her out of the water. Stayed in ICU for 2 days. She never believed me. Life like this is too hard and there is no way out. I slowly stepped back and pushed the glass door open, never wanting to look back. That night, I booked a flight to Hawaii. That's where Adam wanted to go before he died. He grabbed the corner of my clothes and said in a sweet voice, "Dad, why don't you go to Hawaii? It's so cold in Beicheng." I put the small school bag on his back, lifted it up, and asked, "How about the kindergarten vacation? Dad, keep your word. Play go with me." He held my little finger, his face full of expectation. But after leaving that day, he never came back. I don't know where he is now, or whether it's cold down there, or whether he's crying. Are you wearing clothes he likes? Tossing and turning. I couldn't fall asleep. I curled up on the bedside, and the darkness overwhelmed me. At this moment, I feel like a sinner. To atone for my sins, I dialed Lunar's number again. He whispered, "Lunar, I really didn't want to kill him that year, but I'm sorry." As soon as the voice came out, there was a strange and harsh sound on the other end. I thought, it doesn't matter, there will never be a future. While I was still packing, the doorbell rang. The moment I opened the door, I saw David. His face still looked like a boy's. "What's up?" He walked forward, walked around me, and entered the door. "It's like visiting your own house." I followed him and asked again, "David, is something okay?" He didn't answer my question, but turned around. He asked me softly, "If I had married Shuyu that year, do you think we would have been happy?" "No," I said firmly. "In addition to marrying me, he can also marry others. The only thing is that it is impossible to marry David." But I said he didn't believe it, so I didn't say this. He shrugged slightly, obviously not believing what I said. Then he ran directly to the second floor. The second floor is the rest area, and I don't want him to go up there. Before she even touched him, she saw him slowly rolling down the stairs, and Lunar came in at this time. David's head was bruised and his knees were bleeding. At this moment, I could no longer hold back my laughter, but I saw Lunar standing in front of me, raising her hand. He wanted to hit me. "I want to hit me for David." At this moment, I seemed to see a joke. A mocking laugh overflowed, but his eyes were red. "Lunar, I said I didn't meet him. Do you believe it?" He didn't believe it, so he pointed at my nose and scolded me, saying, "Tom, you are so vicious. You almost killed Lunar back then. What do you want now?" He has just been discharged from the hospital. He only came here to help me pick up a document. I looked up at her and asked her, "So the day you didn't answer my call was because David was in the hospital?" She pondered for 2 seconds and said, "Yes, but what can you do to me? Isn't it just Dash?" This sentence made me stand on the stairs and was stunned for several seconds. This is also the first time I know that Adam is not as important as David. That day, I not only called her, I also sent her a text message. Tell her that Adam is gone and come to see him one last time. But she didn't reply to me. She was so indifferent to Adam's departure. Luna bent down and helped David up. Just when he was about to leave, I smiled lowly and shouted, "Wait a minute, I'll give you a gift." She paused in her steps, waiting for my follow-up. I ran to the bedroom and found the wedding ring from the drawer. Slowly walked up to David and put it on his ring finger, just the right size. I stared down at the ring on his finger. After a long time, he whispered, "Luna, I will give everything back to you." Luna frowned and cursed a lunatic, helped David out of the door. I looked at their backs, and my numb heart felt pain once again, wrapping around me. But I still stubbornly walked to the window, watching Luna thoughtfully help David into the passenger seat and thoughtfully close the door. Such tenderness has never belonged to me. "But Luna, I don't want you anymore." In the empty house, it was as quiet as a pin drop, and you could hear it clearly. I took the suitcase down from upstairs and put the keys on the shoe cabinet. Maybe this place didn't belong to me in the first place. Looking at everything here, he closed the door heavily. When I left, I even felt a little relaxed. Unlike the winter in the North City, even the air in Hawaii is warm. Over the years, I have been busy with work, and so has Luna's work. Don't bother taking Adam on a trip. So when Luna and I went on a business trip, we brought Adam with us. He kept pulling me and said to me, "Dad." He wanted to eat ice cream, but he couldn't speak clearly. I frowned slightly, and when he saw that I was unhappy, he stopped talking. But he saw Luna coming from a distance holding an ice cream cone, passing it to his mouth. He whispered, "Only one mouthful." He frowned and licked it. Luna took it away and took a bite. Then, he handed it to Adam's mouth. He leaned his neck forward to reach for the ice cream in Luna's hand, but she suddenly took it away. Adam frowned, leaned into my ear, and hummed, feeling upset again. He looked at Luna. "Mom is bad." He couldn't speak long sentences, and he couldn't enunciate other words clearly. For a long time, he didn't know what he was talking about. Seeing us both laughing, I can only keep repeating the three words, "Mother is bad." Luna threw the paper towel in the trash can and said, "Just be satisfied with one bite. Dad won't let you eat even one bite." She opened her arms to hug Adam. Adam ignored her and lay on my shoulder, motionless. Luna called Adam several times, but saw that he was indifferent. He just followed me and kept teasing Adam. At that moment, I thought we were just like an ordinary family. I work hard to be a good husband and father. Even if she doesn't love me, she still tries her best to be a good mother. This is enough. But at this moment I realized how ridiculous I was at that moment. If you don't love, you will never love. When I arrived at the hotel, it was already night. "Put your luggage away and turn off the lights." Just when I closed my eyes to feel sleepy, the nightmare woke me up. I saw Adam and he said to me, "Dad, it's so dark." His figure flashed before my eyes like a gust of wind. You can't catch it. I changed my clothes, left the hotel, and wanted to go to the beach to have some fresh air to sober myself up. It was pitch dark at the beach in the early morning. Nothing can be seen clearly. I sat on the beach and looked straight at the light. It wasn't until dawn the next day that we returned to the hotel. Pack yourself up and go to the relevant departments. Go through the procedures for burial at sea. The moment it was done, I knew Adam would never come back. Watching Adam's ashes sink to the bottom of the sea, tears slid down the corners of my eyes. "It's me, that's damn right." I exhaled and staggered towards the hotel. Maybe the front desk noticed something was wrong with me and asked me, "Sir, are you okay?" I looked at her, smiled, and responded hoarsely, "It's okay, I'm okay." Their voice is deep. I don't know if I'm telling her, or if I'm trying to comfort myself. Adam hated the coldness of Beijing the most during his lifetime. When winter comes, I don't like to go out. I just sit at home and draw every day, painting the world of his imagination. Everything there is beautiful. I wonder if he has seen it. I stayed in the hotel for 3 days. No matter it is day or night, I can't sleep. When I close my eyes, it's my son's face. It wasn't until the alarm on my phone rang that I realized that I had almost drowned in the hotel bathtub. He stuck his head out of the water and waited for a long time before he finally woke up. Immediately, he stood up holding onto the edge of the bathtub, wrapped himself in a bath towel, and slowly walked out of the bathroom. At that moment, I felt as if I was only a little away from death. I was incredibly clear at this moment. Adam must have been in so much pain that day. When that suffocating feeling reached my body, my whole body ached. I changed my clothes and went out to eat something, but I saw Adam. I watched him run towards me and said to me, "Dad, it's so warm. It's much warmer than Beijing." I put my arms around him and held him in my arms. He asked in a low voice, "Do you prefer Beijing or here? Can we not leave in the future?" But before I could wait for a reply, I was pushed away. I fell to the ground, unable to turn my head. The cold floor tiles pulled my thoughts back a little. The woman in front of her pulled the child into her arms and said, "What are you doing? Kidnapping the child in front of adults?" I looked at the person in front of me blankly and sat up with my hands on the ground. "This is my son. This is my son." I stubbornly tried to pull the child next to her over, but this time, I didn't touch the child, so I was pushed away. "Are you crazy?" When the waiter came over, He saw that I seemed to be delirious. Asked me, "Sir, did you recognize the wrong person?" I grabbed the corner of his clothes and told her, "That's my son." My dash. "Sir, you have recognized the wrong person. That is not your son." I stared blankly at the back figure in front of me until the person disappeared in front of me. "Yeah, my son is a little taller than him. He is not my Adam. I'm really out of my mind. Sorry, I got the wrong person." I took the room card and wanted to go back to the room, but I can't seem to find my way back. I looked around again and again, but couldn't find where my room was. Really weird. I walked out of the hotel door and walked to the nearby sea. Maybe it was late and there were very few people on the beach. The phone vibrated twice in my hand and then went silent. 10 minutes later, it started shaking again. I looked at Lunar's name on it, was stunned for a while, and pressed the answer button. She asked me, "Tom, did you take Adam on a trip? When will you come back?" "Lunar, you can't go back." My voice carried the sound of the wind and entered the speaker. Looking at the endless sea, the phone slipped from my hand. "Can't go back to Lunar. There's no going back." The water was up to my ankles and up to my neck. It finally overwhelmed me completely. I was so suffocated that I couldn't breathe. Just like every time I saw David. I know it's all my fault. As long as I leave this world, then everything will change. I saw Adam. He walked towards me, not wearing a nice little suit. There are tubes inserted all over the body. I asked him, "Does it hurt?" He said, "Dad, it doesn't hurt." I held his hand. She wanted to take him out of this prison, but was stopped by the god of death. "You can leave before your lifespan is over, but the children around you have already." I looked up at them, taking Adam behind me, discussing in a low voice, "Can you please be lenient and let me take him away? He should cross the river of forgetfulness as soon as possible and go to reincarnation. And you should also go back to where you came from." Discussions were fruitless. Adam and I decided to stay here. He has been here for many days. There is no daylight every day. This is the underworld, a dark place. I hugged him and asked, "Adam, are you afraid?" "Afraid," he responded in a low voice. I know what he is afraid of. He is most afraid of the dark. But when I waited for his response, my heart suddenly ached, and tears fell from the corners of my eyes. While soothing his emotions, he said, "Don't be afraid. Dad is here, and Dad will always be with Adam." He raised his head and looked at me with his big eyes. Ask me, "Dad, where is Mom? Will she come here to pick us up?" Mom said that no matter where Adam is, she will come to take us home. That was over a year ago. When I took Adam to visit my mother's grave, we got caught in heavy rain and got stuck in the supermarket. He used my cell phone to call Lunar. Lunar asked us to wait there. She drove an hour away. Adam sat next to me and complained that his mother was taking too long. Lunar looked at the rearview mirror and smiled. "No matter where Adam and Dad are from now on, Mom will come to pick you up." That was what Lunar said casually. But Adam remembers it so clearly. I don't know how to speak. He just said, "Mom can't come to this place." He asked me, "Why? Doesn't Mom have a car?" I hugged him and didn't respond to his words. After a while, he sighed and said, "The children here said that my parents didn't want me anymore, so they left me here alone." "Dad, will you leave?" I rested my chin on his head and whispered back, "Daddy will take you away." We stayed in this place of endless darkness for 3 full days, while Mrs. Meng drank too much and was unattended. I sneaked out with Adam. During the day, we found a place to avoid light, and at night we drifted to the airport and boarded the plane back to Beijing. He ran around happily, passing one person after another. He looked at me and asked me, "Dad, why can't I touch anyone?" As for this question, I don't know how to respond to him until he was so tired that he fell asleep in my arms. I just looked down at him. He held my hand tightly, as if he was afraid that I would leave. I wanted to pull the blanket up, but I ran my hands through the blanket again and couldn't touch it at all. Rushing home with Adam, he kept saying, "I want to give Mom a surprise when I see her. She must have missed me after not seeing me for so long." The door to their house was open, and Adam went in first. The first thing you see is Lunar. She was holding her cell phone in her hand and frowning tightly. Adam wanted to give him a hug, but his body went through her. Looking past Lunar, I saw David wearing my pajamas. He walked slowly downstairs, took a glass of water, and handed it to Lunar. "If you can't make a call, it must be because Tom didn't take him out. Lunar, please rest first." She brushed him away and all the water spilled on David's clothes. Seeing the wet patch, she was startled, and then explained, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. You can go upstairs and rest first." Adam followed her to the study, and I followed. I do not understand. Obviously, David has already entered the room. And why do you make such an expression? Adam looked at me and then at Lunar. Ask me, "Dad, who is that uncle?" "It's Mom's friend." But his brows furrowed. Why does Mom's friend wear Dad's clothes? Maybe he has no clothes. I don't want to explain too much. I don't know why, but I feel weak and have no strength. I just want to go back to the room and take a rest. When I opened the door, I saw David lying in my original position. He was wearing only his underwear. It was obvious who he was waiting for. I looked at it, lowered my eyes and smiled. It turns out that they both live together. Then the next step is to wait until the notification of my death is received so that they can get the marriage certificate. Thinking of this, I lowered my eyes and laughed out loud. The sarcasm spread. At this moment, my heart felt like it was being pierced by countless needles, and it hurt so much that I couldn't breathe. David has always lived in the master bedroom. Luna, on the other hand, has never returned to the master bedroom. She was lying on her side, clutching her cell phone as if she was afraid someone would call, and Adam felt that Luna ignored him and didn't want to look at her again. Angrily, he went back to his children's room. I explained to him, "Mom can't see Adam. It's not because she doesn't want to pay attention to you." He snorted and turned his head. "No way. It's just that my mother doesn't want to care about me, and I don't want to care about her." Seeing him say this, I didn't explain too much. It is normal for children not to understand life and death. I told him stories as always, and slept next to him as always. Early the next morning, Luna opened the door. He shouted, "Adam." Shusha was disappointed for a moment when he saw the empty room. Within a moment, she returned to her usual demeanor, as calm as before. "She can't see us." Adam seemed to know and understand. He asked me why. I said, "We are in two worlds now." But he asked me, "Where is the other world? And where is the other world?" I didn't know how to answer, so I simply didn't answer. He never heard my answer, so he kept pestering me for an explanation. Before I could tell him again, I saw David holding a USB flash drive and running to the study to find Luna. Luna looked up at him for a moment, then returned to her work. So, he stood there calmly until Luna looked up again and asked him, "Is there something wrong?" So alienated, as if they were no longer the lovers they were before. "Can I borrow your computer?" He held the USB drive between his fingers. I saw it clearly. It was mine. "No, it can't be done." I wanted to grab his hand, but time and time again, my hand passed through his. "Luna, that's my thing." She couldn't hear the silent cry. In my heart I hoped Luna could stop her. I don't want my youth to appear in front of David, but I couldn't stop him, so I could only close my eyes. He just inserted the USB flash drive into their host computer. When I was young, I jumped on the screen in an instant. I held the camera in my hand and said hello to Luna. "Today, I met you again." I only took a picture of Luna's back. At that time, she was still wearing her school uniform, with her ponytail dangling behind her back. He turned around and smiled. It was so beautiful. As long as it's not a weekend, I can always see Luna in my camera. I have walked all the roads she has walked. I like her. It's a secret. I have never spoken to anyone. The last few photos are of Luna before she was kidnapped. That day, Luna made an appointment to see her former teacher. That place is very remote. After hearing what people said, I also wanted to join in the fun. Unexpectedly, when the car passed through the alley, Luna was dragged away. He was dragged to a very remote reservoir. My video only went to the reservoir side, nothing else. She stared straight at it and saw the video turned into a black dot. She glanced at David's face and asked in a dumb voice, "David, who saved me?" David hesitated and couldn't explain why, and she already had the answer in her heart. I looked at her and thought it was ridiculous. I asked her over and over again, but she never believed it. But with such a video without cause and effect, she suddenly felt that I saved her. I told her that I didn't treat David badly. It was him who chose to leave her, but she didn't believe it either. After so many years of marriage, she has never believed me. Adam grabbed the corner of my clothes and asked me, "Is that Mom?" Yes. She was only 16 years old at that time. What a great age. At such a good age, I almost drowned in the water. At this point, I hate everything about water. But Adam likes the sea, and so does Luna. I didn't expect that in the end, I would actually drown in the water. The computer screen went black. Suddenly, another video popped up. I recorded it while I was away. I told Luna everything. Tears welled up in my eyes. But when I recorded this video, I didn't shed a single tear. This is the only pride and stubbornness I have left. I said, "Luna, Adam is gone." I said, "Luna, never see me again, so you don't have to bother me anymore." Before she could react, her phone was buzzing on the table. I took a look and saw it was an unfamiliar number. The other end said, "Hello, is this Tom's wife? We found an unknown male body floating on the water, suspected to be Tom." I didn't hear the rest of it clearly. Only the phone in Luna's hand was seen falling on the ground. There are cracks on the screen, and her eyes were filled with tears, and she asked the other party over and over again in disbelief, "Hello, can you say it again? How could it be Tom? How could someone who is so selfish and always only cares about his own interests choose to commit suicide?" Luna's low murmur was like a knife, stabbing me hard. In fact, she was not wrong. I was indeed selfish and took everything in the White family for myself. But if I hadn't done this, I would have been devoured by my stepmother, and not a single penny would be left to me. Luna seemed to have had her soul taken away. standing in front of the window, motionless. David put his arms around his waist, as if he was going to stage a tender drama. He put his chin on the top of her head and whispered, "I'm still here." But this time, she reached out and pushed him away. He whispered, "Go away. I don't want to see you again." At this moment, she seemed to believe everything I said. However, this is not important anymore, because I don't care anymore. That day, she helped David leave and raised her hand to hit me. My heart is already dead. "You love me just because I saved you?" Lunar glanced at him, smiled softly, and asked, "Tell me, if you hadn't saved me, how could all of this have happened?" "But Lunar, didn't Tom tell you all this?" "I've said it all. It's just that she doesn't believe it." She stepped back as if she had been hit hard. His eyes suddenly looked at me. I don't know if he can see me at this moment. Within 3 seconds, she looked away and whispered, "I have to go to Hawaii. They are still waiting for me there." When I saw my body, I subconsciously stepped back. They were all soaked and it was impossible to tell who it was. Lunar couldn't tell who it was, so she just kept staring and said to me, "I'm sorry." I heard Lunar, "But this time I won't forgive you." She went to the hotel where I stayed, get my belongings back and deal with my funeral affairs. Adam looked at Lunar and then at me, wondering what was going on. When death found Adam and we were watching the sea at the beach. It was pitch black and I didn't know what to look at. Death asked me, "Do you want to go back?" "I'm not going back," I responded in a low voice and looked at him. "Can I exchange yarn show for my son? He is still young and still has a lust for the human world." Death shook his head and took us back. I asked Adam, "Do you want to go back to find your mother?" She nodded. That day, I thought of countless ways and prayed to all the gods. Finally, the name in the book of life and death was replaced with mine. When he left, I walked him to the door myself. Adam grabbed my hand and asked me, "Dad, aren't you leaving?" I looked at him and shook my head. "I can't leave." Dad can't leave. His soul returned to his body. Time flashes back to the moment she was hospitalized. The person guarding him changed from me to Lunar. Adam opened his eyes and didn't see me. Asked Lunar, "Where's Dad?" She said, "I went to another world." Adam asked him if there were many beautiful little clothes in the other world and if he wanted to go somewhere. I saw the corners of her mouth twitch a few times, and the tears in her eyes fell down her cheeks. But she didn't answer the full words. Death asked me, "Do you regret it?" I replied, "No regrets." Lunar doesn't love me. If you love me, why don't you believe me when I'm alive? If you love me, why do you have to wait for me to die before giving me a chance to tell her that something happened to Adam? I followed the god of death back to the underworld and drank Meng Po soup again. When I walked through Wangchuan, Po Meng asked me, "Do you regret loving him?" I said, "If you can really choose the script in life, then I will not choose him again. I regret falling in love with Lunar. She appeared in my youth ostentatiously. It made me unable to extricate myself from it. If there is a script in this life, I will not choose to fall in love with her again." Tom Extra. The moment I saw Tom's video, I felt suffocated and tears were in his eyes. His disappointment seemed to flow down together with his tears. But that's not the him I know. The year we met, he was 24 years old and appeared on the negotiating table for the first time. He took the case down neatly, and when shaking hands with me, he raised his eyebrows slightly. "Lunar, please give me more advice in the future. He is young, courageous, and dares to think and do." We transformed White Company, an old brand, into a young brand. But I know that there is someone behind him who is stopping him from doing all this, trying to push him away. So he wants to marry my family and use my family's power to break away from his family. But I don't want to obey the constraints of my family and stubbornly want to break away from my family. But I didn't expect that on the day he saw David and I taking wedding photos, he had secretly arranged for David to leave Beicheng. So when I heard the news about the crash, I wanted to strangle him to death. I don't know if I love David, but at that time, I didn't love Tom. I hate his pretentiousness and his unscrupulousness. There is no denying that he is a good husband. At home, he took care of everything. There is no one in my family who dislikes him. In the 3rd year of marriage, I got pregnant unexpectedly. At that moment, I accepted everything and looked forward to the arrival of this life. Adam's arrival made me a mother. I am also learning to get along well with Tom. Our relationship seems to have taken a step forward. Unexpectedly, at this time, David came back. He was sick and there was no one around to take care of him. I think I should atone for Tom's sins. If it weren't for him, he probably wouldn't have left Beicheng. But I forgot. He didn't board that flight. All I know is that it will not be easy for him to escape death. So try to compensate him as much as possible. After get off work that day, my phone was out of battery and turned off. So I accompanied David to get the injection. Nothing was heard. I don't know that Tom called me countless times, but I don't know why I didn't see the message he sent me. The moment I saw his body, it felt like a huge boulder had crushed my heart, and I was so painful that I couldn't breathe. Only at this moment did I know that I loved him and was used to everything about his existence. I fell to my knees and prayed for him to come back, but he will never come back. When I went to the hotel to pack up his belongings, the front desk told me, "The gentleman seems to be mentally disturbed. He mistakenly identified a child as his own son. Finish his funeral affairs." His half-brother walked up to me and punched me hard. "Tell me, Tom almost drowned in the river that year because of you. He hated water the most in his life." "I don't know. I don't know any of this." "No, I don't believe him. He told me everything. The first time he told me this, when he was in love, he put his head on my shoulder and whispered in my ear, 'Lunar, if I was the one who saved you, would you still hate me so much?'" I smiled and looked at him. "Tom, do you know what you are talking about? How can a selfish person like you save others?" The sarcasm spread. He smiled along with me and said, "Yes, people like me are always interested in people's lives. So how can I save people's lives?" He suppressed his smile and cleaned himself up. He didn't go back to the bedroom, but slept on the small bed with Adam all night. Suddenly, I remembered that Tom asked me before, "Lunar, who do you think will know when I die in the future?" I got no response. He thought to himself and said, "Only the wind should know." I placed Adam, went to the sea area, and felt the water submerging me. The feeling of suffocation slowly came. Was Tom scared that day? I'm afraid it was so painful that I couldn't feel it. If Tom has an afterlife, can I come to you instead? I saw Tom. He stood in front of me with a smile and whispered to me, "Lunar, there will be no afterlife. Lunar, I will never be by your side again in the next life. All this is the result of my own fault.